Hi everyone. Today we will discuss business email compromise, a serious and growing threat, and how we can protect our organizations from big attacks. So, what is big or business email compromise? Big attacks are not your typical phishing scams. They are highly targeted and well researched. Attackers often spend time studying their targets and their organization's processes. This makes from them very convincing. So, business email compromise is an exploit in which an attacker obtains access to business email account and imitates the owner's identity in order to defraud the company and its employees, customers, or partners. So often, an attacker will create an account with an email address almost identical to one on the operate networks. So relying on the assumed trust between the victim and their email account. So Beck is sometimes described as a man in the email attack. So if you talk about how BEC Attacks works, the steps attacker will follow. The number one is reconnaissance, and in these steps, attacker gathering informations about the target and organizations. So generally, attackers will use the social media platforms like LinkedIn to gather these informations about the individuals and their corporate organizations and their designations and their actually the work profiles and everything they are gathered and they are prepared. The next one is compromise. So they are gaining access to an email account, something they are using phishing or malware kind of mail attack, and then they will actually compromise the email account. The next one is they will actually use impersonations and sending fraudulent email appearing to be from trusted source. And next one is the request. They are actually requesting something like details, data, and something like credit card informations and something like username passwords, and so they are actually requesting wire transfers or sensitive data like details from the other executives in same organizations. And the finally exfiltrations, and so they are receiving the funds or informations from your organizations. So these are the steps. So as you can see, the attackers do their homework. They try to blend in and exploit existing trust relationships. So this makes detection difficult. So if you talk about the type of big attacks, number one is CEO fraud, and CEO fraud occurs when attackers impersonate a CEO to trick other members of an organization into revealing sensitive information. Generally, so attacker will create something like public email account of CEO, and then using that account they will send to internal organizations employees. So the employees thinks, so this is your CEO, and actually this is our CEO, and then so we need to respond to our CEOs. In that way, the attacker gaining access to the data, and your data will be leaked. So next one is something like false invoice schemes. So companies with an foreign supplies are often targeted with this kind of a tactics. So where the attackers pretend to be the suppliers and requesting fund transfer for the payments to an account owned by fraudsters. The next one is account compromise or account takeover. So an executive or employee email account is hacked and used to request invoice payments to vendors, and actually they listed in their email contacts. So payments are then sent to the fraudulent bank accounts. The next attack is lawyer or attorney fraud. So impersonating as the lawyer for an organization, the threat actor will contact low-ranking individuals to attempting to retrieve sensitive information. The final one is the data theft. So this kind of attacks typically targeted HR employees of the organizations to obtain personal or sensitive data about the other individuals of the company, so such as CEOs and executives. Okay, so if we talk about the modern big attacks, so have evolved to the include new emerging variants. So these are new emerging variants of the big attacks. So number one is voice cloning attacks. So cyber criminals using AI, that means artificial intelligence technology, and to clone executives' voice for the virtual meetings and the phone calls. So these kind of attacks actually the combine email correspondence with voice confirmations calls to the bolster their scheme's legitimacy. The next one is phishing. So this kind of a technique use traditional phishing with QR codes. This is one of the new trend nowadays. So wherever the attackers embedding malicious QR codes into the email body, and so whenever the internal employees actually they scan this kind of a QR code, then this will be redirected to the victim's credential harvesting sites. And the next kind of a the new emerging variant is conversation hijacking. So this kind of a attackers monitor the legitimate email threads between businesses and their partners, so then insert themselves at a crucial moment, and one particular moment they are actually insert into these conversations using nearly identical domain names. So they are actually they use domain impersonations and identical domain names to the actual domain of the organizations, and they leverage the existing context and trust to the redirect payments or extract sensitive informations. Okay, so this is the example of one of the BEC attacks. So you can see this organization is Cybersky. So attacker will be learning through the this actually the social media. So they are gathering information about these directors and executives, and so you can see for example Jane Smith of the director of this Cybersky company, and then attacker will try to impersonate this Jane Smith. So you can see they are sending something like typos-coded domain. So the actual domain of this sender is Cybersky .lk. There are additional y in the domain name, so it's a fake domain, and but actually this is pretend to be the internal this Cybersky company's director. And actually this kind of a email, and Helen is also part of this Cybersky organizations, and the attacker will send to the email to Helen, and they are sending urgent request urgency, and they are actually the requesting some financial, that means the purchasing financial request to pay immediately or something like that. And so if Helen responds to this email, then actually your the financial, that means the your payments, your actually the Helen will be paid to this attacker instead of your CEO. So that's how this kind of a actually the CEO prod actually use this kind of actually the BEC attack works. So how you can identify, you need to carefully about the prom address. And so actually the display name is something like similar to your director name, but your actually the prom domain is different. It's something like Cybersky additional y it's inserted in this domain. And also you can see that financial request and urgency there, it's generally you need to verify about this kind of a email, and you need to contact your CEO immediately, and you need to inform your IT team about this kind of a request. And that's how you you need to consider about this kind of a BEC attacks. And what is the impact of BEC? So impact can be devastating, not just financially, but also to the organization's reputations and long-term stability. So number one is this kind of a BEC attacks, the financial losses, direct loss for the funds. Next one, your organization's reputations can be damaged, and the customers' trust and the partners' trust will be lost. And then the operational disruptions, your business operations can be severely impacted. Actually your email sometimes your public IPs or your actual domain names domains will be blacklisted. There will be operational disruptions, and also finally there are something like legal or regulatory issues, something like penalties or fines. For the potential fines and penalties can be happen. And so how you protect your organizations from this kind of a big attacks? So you need to use strong passwords, and you need to follow the MFA. You need to enable the MFA for your email accounts and other accounts, other systems. That is the one thing you need to consider. And strong passwords and multi-factor authentication is essentials for the email security. The next one is employee training, and you need to educate your employees about the big tactics, how to identify this kind of a big attacks. And next one is the email security solutions. You need to implement anti-phishing solutions or anti-malware solutions you need to implement. And next one is something like verification procedures, and establish strict verification processes for the wire transfers and sensitive requests as well. And also for the regular security audits, something like, so you need to conduct regular security audits, some identify vulnerabilities and improve your security posture. And thank you very much.